This is a continuation report on the case number 163 concerning the 71-year-old woman who had been diagnosed with psychosis some 30 years ago. And we're acting, the client is her daughter, so we're acting on the instructions and requests of the daughter. Now, I posted a report on the 31st of August. It was file number 163/5. And the end of that report suggested there was more to come. Well, there has been more. There's been a third request and more communication with the client, but I just want to read this latest report that's just come through this morning. It is the 11th of September. And the client says, "Good morning, Terry. I'm very happy to report some more improvements and progression with regard to my mum since the third intervention. My brother and I visited her last night and she was in a very, very good state. She looked very well, she's coloured her hair, cleaned up the flat, and she cooked dinner for us, and she even baked a cake for us." Now, she used to cook and bake a lot. I'm assuming she means when they were children, because remember, this patient has had this problem for 30 years. She used to cook and bake a lot, but because she's been in such a bad state for so long, she's not baked a cake in years. It actually made our jaws drop. You should have seen our faces when she showed us the cake. Do you remember not long ago she would lie drunken on the sofa and talk about aliens who rape her at night, and she wouldn't look at us or talk to us properly? A few weeks ago, when I told my brother about spirit release therapy, he was open but sceptical. Yesterday, he had to admit that these are not coincidences anymore, and that whatever you are doing is working. My mother's made a quantum leap since the last intervention. I'm not sure which part of the session actually made her recover so well. Well, in fact, there are several elements that need to work together. There are different concepts that contribute to a problem, and they all have to be addressed. It's not just one thing, it's not just this one magic bullet, it's a combination of factors, and they all need to be recognised, understood and dealt with. She goes on to say, the part where Chen, that's our spirit guide, and his team put her etheric body back into a physical body the right way round, or the part when you removed the anxiety from her and put a protective bubble of light around her, or the part when you connected to her higher self and introduced yourself to her and explained the work that you're doing. Now, this takes us to the next level. Removing spirit entities that are attached is the first part of the process. When we dealt with that, and of course there have been 3 sessions now where all these different facets of intrusion have to be dealt with on different levels. Then we have to start working at the psychological level with the individual themselves. And this is where telepathic communication and telepathic hypnosis come into their own. So I had a conversation with the woman directly, after having asked permission from her higher self. So the client goes on to say, the part where you connected to her higher self, that's where we asked permission, and introduced yourself to her and explained the work that you're doing. So I had a detailed conversation with the client. It's recorded, but I've skipped that part just to reach this outcome. I agree with you that she has suffered a great deal of damage for many years, and of course she will not recover overnight. It will take time to go through all the layers, and who knows what else may come up. But I think you've achieved achieved already so much, and we are on a very good pathway. My brother and I are so happy. You know, it's not only great for my mum to feel better, but it's also really relieves me and my brother so much. It has been a heavy burden for so many years to watch someone you love deteriorate and struggle so badly. So we want to thank you and Andrew and Chen and his team for the work you do and your kindness. We're very grateful. Now, the important lesson for me is that this is validation, endorsement of the work that we do. We need to provide evidence to psychiatry that these principles are real, that they do work, and that there is a means of treating the sick here who have been diagnosed with psychosis, an alternative way of treating them without just putting them in hospital and giving them drugs. These are techniques that are simple to learn. And not only do I want to offer evidence that these techniques work, I'd like to help psychiatrists learn how to use them, and that's the whole point of this exercise. So help me spread the word and educate psychiatry. Thank you for listening.